Okay, it is time for our weekly Q&A. I have been in the kitchen. That is why I am dressed like this. I am making kimchi. Can you see all those beautiful colors? We'll see what it looks like in a couple of days. This video will go up, what is today? So the 24th. So this week's video, what did I just make? Oh, a wonderful Asian side dish. It's great for bowls. I had sushi bowls for dinner last night. But this is fabulous. It's asparagus and zucchini and edamame or green peas with a wonderful Asian sauce that will be up on the YouTube on Wednesday. So if you, those of you on Facebook, if you're not watching me on YouTube, go and subscribe. I'm at Holistic Jen, holistic with a W, Holistic Jen. Okay, so this week this month, I've been talking about protein. I can't even remember what we talked about last week. What a blur. I've had a really busy week. As you can see, I'm wearing my my cooking uniform because I've been doing my videos. All right, so the article last week on Friday that you got in your newsletter was all about protein for all stages of life. And so protein is so important. And it's the number one question I get when anyone hears I don't eat animal products. It's hilarious. I used to, I'd go, if I went to out of town or something, it would be normal to go and get donuts for breakfast. We're on vacation. Let's have donuts. And then for lunch, let's go have a Chick-fil-A sandwich with some fries. And then for dinner, let's have some pizza. No one questions you when you eat like that. But when you tell them, I don't eat any animal products, my breakfast is a green smoothie, my lunch is a salad, my dinner is a bowl with quinoa, maybe, or vegetables or whatever, vegetables and beans. And then they're like, you're going to be sick. You're going to be weak. You're not getting the nutrients you need. And I just find that completely hilarious because you don't question me when I eat the donuts, but you do when I eat green smoothie. What? There's nothing nutritional about donuts, Chick-fil-A, or the pizza. I could get some veggies on the pizza, maybe some tomato sauce, but there's really not enough to add some nutrition there. So everybody needs to be concerned about nutrition, and protein is key. So think about that meal too. If I had donuts, Chick-fil-A, fries, and pizza, where am I getting the protein? I'm going to eat that either, right? And when you eat like that, that's very inflammatory. That affects the intestines, that affects the hydrochloric acid. And so then we're not even absorbing the proteins that we eat either way. So to absorb the proteins, we need to have a very healthy mucosal system. We need to be secreting the right enzymes to break down those protein structures. We need to have a healthy, strong integrity in our intestines to absorb those proteins into our bloodstream. We need the liver to be functioning appropriately so those amino acids go where they need to go. And so this week's article coming up is plant-fueled performance. And so it's all about protein for athletes. And so that is a really big concern. A lot of people, especially people working out in the gyms, they think they need, gyms plural, they think they need whey protein. Do you need whey protein? Well, they found when they do studies, when they compare people on a soy protein, a pea protein, and a whey protein, they gain the same amount of strength and they are absorbing the same amount of protein. Now, when we are eating things like protein powders that have been extracted, maybe that have soy isolates in them, that can be inflammatory. And so it's always best to not rely on the powders, but to get your proteins from your foods. It's also best to watch how much protein you are getting. So even if you are bodybuilding and you have an increased need for protein, you don't want to go exceed your need either, because that adds a lot of acid to the body that can be very harmful to your bones. The good thing is you're strength training, you're putting more pressure on the bones, but we're also pulling the minerals from your bones to replace that or neutralize that acid. And so in the long run, you're really doing a lot of hard work on your bones, detrimental work. And when we pull those minerals from the bones, those minerals travel through our bloodstream. And if we have other things in the bloodstream, they can coagulate, and then that can cause clotting and heart conditions. So you want to be really careful about not exceeding how much protein you need. You want to make sure you're getting an adequate amount, but not having too much. When we overeat too much protein. We don't have a storage system for excess protein. So that excess is converted into fat and stored. And so not as protein, but as fat. And so that we want to be careful that way as well. So how do you know how much protein you need? Well, the RDA is about 0.8 grams per kilogram. And here in the States, we use pounds. And so you do have to convert that as multiply by 2.2 or divide by 2.2, depending on which way you're going, to determine how much you weigh, and then multiply by 0.8. If you eat a completely whole food plant-based diet, like I do, then you need to add 10%. So instead of 0.8 grams per kilogram, 0.9 grams per kilogram. It's not that much more. It's very easy to get that amount. I can sometimes get enough in my breakfast, but then that's exceeding it. I need to break it up through the day and not try to get it all in one meal. There are a lot of plant meals that are higher in protein than others. And if you are a bodybuilder, then that was very important for you. Now, if you are training in the gym because you're trying to lose weight and maintain muscle, you don't need to eat additional protein. You just need to make sure you're getting your protein needs met. If you're training in the gym for hours, lifting heavy, trying to gain more and more muscle, then you do need to make sure you're consuming more. Now, can you gain muscle and lose weight at the same time? No, that's why bodybuilders train. They bulk up, they eat a lot more calories. And I don't like calories, so let's not go there, but they want to eat more so that they can build up their muscles, and then they slim down and cut to show those muscles. Now, if we could gain muscles and lose weight at the same time, that would be great. But what happens is when we eat too few calories, we break down muscles. And so we don't want to do that. So it is a great idea to work out while you're trying to lose weight, but it's even better to do aerobic type fitness. So you want to lift some weights to maintain as much muscle as you can, but use aerobics to help when you're working on your weight loss. Now, depending on your stress level, the amount of glucose in your stream, the cortisol levels, you want to make sure that you're doing appropriate exercise as well. If you are chronically under stress, if your blood sugar is out of control, then you don't want to spend too much time doing aerobics, or you want to do the appropriate type. Walking can be great, but cycling as fast as you can may not be for an hour, may not be the best route for you. So there are some amino acids that are essential that everyone needs to get. And so that, once again, if you're eating 100% plant-based, people are like, where are you getting all these? All plant foods contain all essential amino acids. And so we don't need to worry about where we're getting all of these essential amino acids. But isoleucine, leucine, and lysine, we hear about a lot of those in the bodybuilding world. Those are branched chain amino acids. And those are key for people who are bodybuilding, just to help reduce the tear and boost recovery when they are working out. So you can get those from your foods. Watercress is not very common here, but watercress is very high in isoleucine, leucine, and lysine. So if I were a bodybuilder and I was concerned about my branched chain amino acids, then I would want to make sure that I'm growing my own watercress, which I've actually looked for seeds here, or I have a source where I can get some watercress. Sunflower seeds are very high in isoleucine and leucine. So putting sunflower seeds on your breakfast bowl. Remember, we don't want to drink our smoothies. We want to eat them as a bowl. So putting some sunflower seeds on there, or a salad, or top of a soup, or using sun butter. I love sun butter. I put sun butter in my smoothies too. That's delicious. And then walnuts are high in lysine. So if you had some sunflower seeds on some things, and then had some walnuts later on, then you just got all of your branched chain amino acids. Green peas are high in lysine. Chickpeas are also high in lysine. So having some beans and some sunflower seeds and some watercress, you're good to go. Now we have some other amino acids that are not essential, but they are conditionally essential. So for someone who is having trouble absorbing their nutrients, maybe they have very low hydrochloric acid, maybe they have a leaky gut, they know they have leaky gut, they're having trouble getting those amino acids, then they want to make sure that they are finding sources that are higher in these, maybe boosting your amino acids for the day. So those conditionally, I had to pull up a list for the conditionally essential amino acids because I do not have them memorized. But those are arginine, asparagine, glutamine, glycine, proline, serine, tyrosine, and cysteine. So tyrosine is conditionally essential. We don't have to get in our foods, but tyrosine is the T in your thyroid hormone. The T3 and T4 is made up of tyrosine and iodine. And so we have to make sure we're getting iodine. Where are we getting our iodine? We're not taking iodine unless your medical provider is telling you to take it. Use sea vegetables. I'm always talking about my delicious sea salt. I got it from Maine Coast Foods. No, I do not work for them. I'm not an affiliate with them, but I love, you can buy, it's like a pound of sea salt that has sea vegetables in it. So it's high in your iodine, but you want to make sure that you are getting some tyrosine, but it is conditionally essential, which means we don't have to get in our foods unless we do have some of these issues like the leaky gut, like poor absorption. Now there are some other people who maybe they just had surgery and then they have a higher need for amino acids as well. So hopefully you read last week's article, explains a lot. This week's article coming up will be more about working out and getting your amino acids. And we have some that contain sulfur, which are very important for sulfur detoxification, which is a pathway in the liver. I talked about the branched chain amino acids. I'm just going through my list. If there's any questions, I've had several people pop in and out, which is fine. If you have any questions, feel free. So how do you know if you're not getting enough protein? If you have really poor energy, it could be that you're not getting enough protein, but it's most likely you're not eating enough calories, or your blood sugar is not balanced. So a lot of times we feel really tired if we have blood sugar swings or we haven't had enough to eat. If you find that you have to snack between meals, there's a really good chance, A, your blood sugar is out of balance, or B, you didn't eat enough at your meals. We need to be able to eat enough in one sitting to make it 4 or 5 hours to the next meal so that our digestion can finish. Growth hormone can come out to play to help repair any muscles, help with muscle recovery, and then we eat again in our next meal. And that should take us to dinner if you eat 3 meals a day. I eat 3 meals a day. People who have chronic stress, high cortisol levels, I'm a go person. I have to have breakfast in the morning. Some people do well with intermittent fasting. I am not one of those people. Now, my blood sugar is very well balanced. I do get my A1C checked. My A1C is excellent. It's 4.7 or 4.8, which is really great. So I don't worry about that, but I do eat 3 meals a day. I used to think I had to eat every 2 to 3 hours, and my A1C was a lot higher back then. And so I love that I found Dr. Rita Marie and that I'm able to balance my blood sugars this way. If you have poor immune function, that could be a sign of too little protein. Hormone imbalance, your hormones are out of whack. Could be something with detoxification. It could be too little protein. If you are depressed, it could be we need protein for our neurotransmitters. And so that could be too little protein. Your muscles are weak. You have brittle nails. That can be related to thyroid. That can be related to protein. You're not recovering well from injuries. If it takes you a whole week to recover from a gym workout, that could be an issue. And if you have, you work out all the time, but you can't gain any bulk, it could be 2 things. You could, or more than 2 things, you could have low testosterone. And maybe having a Dutch test would be great for you. That is a great way to look at your different hormones. It's not a blood test that your doctor does. It's definitely, it's more accurate. Dr. Rita Marie has a podcast that where she explains it. It is fabulous. But if you're lacking testosterone, you can't build the muscles. If you're under high stress, you may not have the testosterone, and it could be protein. So it's all complicated. How do you know if you have too much protein? If you have kidney stress, it can cause back pain. You have too much protein, your kidneys are going to pay for it. You have bone loss. Remember what I said, when we eat a lot of protein, our bones have to extract the minerals to help neutralize the acids that are created, and then that can weaken our bones. If you have a decreased appetite, you just don't even want to eat, nausea, acidic urine or saliva. On one of these lives, I did a pH test with the pH strips that you put in your mouth. You can test your urine and you can test your saliva for that. If you are dehydrated, if you're constipated, any of those can be linked to too much protein. Okay, so I have a question. What should your resting blood sugar be ideally? fasting blood sugar or resting blood sugar? Monica, if you're there, are you asking about resting sugar or fasting blood sugar? Because your resting blood sugar depends on how long it's been since you ate. Fasting. Okay. So you want it to definitely be below 80. So when you wake up in the morning, are you testing yours when you wake up? That's what you want to do. You want to test it when you wake up, and you want it to be below 80 in the morning. And then when you eat, I like for people to track it at least, 3 days or something. If you don't know what it is, track it like 3 days in a row after each meal, 15 minutes after each meal until you see it go up, and then come back down and see your spikes too. You don't want it to go too high. So like if your fasting blood sugar is like 110, then you don't want it, it's going to go up higher after a meal than if your fasting is 80 or something. Just over 100 when you wake up. Okay, so you want to work on some blood sugar balancing, or maybe not eating so late at night, or working on some stress management to help bring it down. I know that you are interested in a lot of Dr. Rita Marie's things, and she does have a fabulous program, the Sweet Spot, that she just had a bunch of people go through, and it is great. But she wants you to test your blood sugar 15 minutes after each meal. If you can get a glucose monitor, a continuous glucose monitor, CGM, those are fabulous. You wear it on the back of your arm, it tracks it for you, puts it on your phone, and you don't even have to be pricking your fingers. If you can go to CVS or Walgreens and get a simple kit. They don't cost very much, but the strips do. I recommend that you test it. You test it right before you eat, and then test it 15 minutes after you eat, and then every 15 minutes until you see it go up and come back down. And what you want to do is track it and see, how high is it going, and watching your sugars, watching how late you eat, watching your stress, and watching that fasting glucose start to trend back down. And it should start going down if you're watching it. But that's a good way to get you started. Anyway, but I know a little bit about you. I don't know you that well. We don't work together one-on-one. And so that is a little bit vague, but hopefully that helps. So I do have another video that I did where I talked more about blood sugar maybe a couple of months ago. I think if you go to my YouTube, it'll be a lot easier to find than in the Facebook group. Anyway, I don't see any other questions. I'm not sure if I covered everything I was going to cover. So what is this week's article is going to be a lot about working out and protein, because I was talking about protein for those of you who are popping in and out. Anyway, if you have any other questions, post in here and I will get back to you. We are just about at the 20-minute mark, so I need to go change out of this. Watch for this Wednesday's video on my YouTube on the Asian sesame vegetables. It's delicious. And then next week will be this delicious kimchi. So I hope you all have a fabulous week. Thank you for your questions.